And once again, I say that we are going to have, today it's going to be basically me talking, yeah, because I will show you what the test is. Depending on how fast it goes, we may end sometime before the time that I allotted, because I said 8 to 10, but perhaps today we don't need all this time, right? Okay, let me see. Here I have already started recording. I will share now my screen, include the sound of my computer, and there it is. You can see my screen. Okay, that's my desktop, and let me open the presentation that I prepared. Okay, this presentation I prepared, I have this presentation for FCE students, okay? And what you can see here is a chart where you can see the equivalence among the different types of exams. Not all of them are here, all right? But here at the beginning, you can see this column that we have what we classify as advanced, and there on the bottom we have beginner. In the past, I mean, before 2015, 2014, they started thinking about that at the beginning of the 20s, not 2001, but 2010, 2011. What I remember is that from 2015 on, Cambridge exams have changed a bit. Before, they have 5 different papers. And what are the papers? They are the areas of the language that are tested, like listening, writing, and speaking, use of English, and reading. So they were separated. Use of English, writing, speaking, reading, and listening. And from 2015 until today, they decided to put reading and use of English together. Use of English has to do with grammar, right? And what they called before CAE and FCE, they changed to C1, Advanced, B2, first, just to conform to what we call the CEFR level, which is the Common European Framework. I'm going to talk about it on the next slide. So you see here, C1 is equivalent to CAE, B2, which is the one that you were doing, is equivalent to FCE. And here is the Cambridge scale. Each question is worth 1 point or 2 points, depending on the question. And you can, during FCE, you can reach a scale between 160 and 180, and you will have the certificate for FCE when you sit it, okay? Something interesting about Cambridge that has changed, and let me tell you something, because I didn't. If you have any questions, you can write on the paper there, and you can raise your hand here on Teams, because at the end of everything that I say, I can answer if I know how to answer, because many times we have to think that. Although we are teachers, we do not know everything, principally when we live in a very dynamic world where things change on a daily basis, all right? So what I want to tell you about this, if you sit FCE, if you do FCE exam, B2 first, and if your result is above 180, if you get, for example, 181, 182, you are gonna get a CAE certificate, yes, because it shows that your command of the language is higher than the one you set. I'm not sure, this is something that I have to just confirm if it is the certificate to receive from CAE, or if you receive an FCE certificate with a mention that you have a CAE level, a C1 advanced, because this changed before I did the exam, after I did the exam. So I'm not so sure. I had some students who had this change, I mean, who saw this difference, but I didn't see the certificate. I have to look for it. And then here we have the IELTS bands, business English. They also have exams for business English. Teachers also can take into account the fact that they have courses for preparing them for becoming teachers. And we have these, perhaps you, TESOL means teaching English for students of other languages. And CELTA is the one, I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but it trains teachers all over the world for being teachers. So with methodology, even if the person didn't do what we call a language university, English, literature, English, Portuguese. Okay, so a person from another area can take the CELTA, can do the CELTA and receive a certificate allowing him or her to become a teacher. And we also have this exam here. I'm not so familiar with it, so I'm not going to talk about the TOEIC. Okay, so the Common European Framework, which is has this abbreviation, it can be, you can see CEFR, CEF, or CFRL. So this is a guideline that the European Framework decided to have, so that they could assess, they could evaluate people from other languages. And this is also a framework that other languages like French, Italian, they also use a similar framework to classify, let's say, the students according to their level of speaking the language. So it was started, created, put together by the Council of Europe between these years. And the main aim is to assess, right, to have this method for learning, teaching, assessing. In this year, 2001 or 2001, they recommended the people to use this scale for the validation of the language ability. And as you can see, the common framework has 6 levels, from A1, which refers to beginners. And with beginners in this area, we have a different, let's say, a different area that they call, they are the exams for young learners. So we have starters, movers, and God, I forgot the other name. It happens sometimes. But they are 3 levels for the very little kids, right? And we have beginners from A1 up to C2. C2 is equivalent to CPE, which is really a hard exam. And C1 is also a CAE. It is the one that is recommended for that shows the real fluence and the real command, the very big command of the English language. C1 shows that. And B2 is equivalent to upper intermediate, upper intermediate, and then C1 advanced, and C2 would be the very advanced. And to tell you the truth, I would say that many native speakers, they do not pass the C2 exam because of the grammar area, the composition area. Just like a Brazilian people, we know that many Brazilian people wouldn't get a very high mark on Portuguese, exams on Portuguese. So here you are, B2. Okay, what is expected of B2 first candidates? Here we have, they have to have this ability. In fact, it is quite the same as the CAE level, the C1 level. Difference is that is the amount of language, the quantity of vocabulary, and the command of the grammar part, okay, and the difficulty of the way of writing, the way of speaking. So there are, although they're very similar, B2 and C1, they're very similar. The more vocabulary, the more lexis the candidate has, the more this candidate will approach the CAE level, C1, etc. Throughout this course, you will. Okay, my aim and your aim, of course, is to have this. Increase your ability to transform words and sentences. Let me explain this, because you know Portuguese, we know that we have a root word. Okay, we have one word, we have the root, and then we can expand that word into other words. Like we have a noun, we can transform this noun into an adjective. We can transform this noun into an adverb. Okay, so this is what they say transform words is, a word transformation they call. They give a word and then they want you to read the sentence and use an appropriate transformed word based on that root one they have. And they also have the sentence transformation. They give a sentence. I will show you. They give you a sentence and then they give a word. You have to rewrite that sentence with the same meaning using that new word they give. You will also acquire the ability of reading texts in a varied context, in many different areas, and this is one of the difficulties of exams like the FCE and CAE, is that many times the texts that are given, they are put in the exam, they are very, how can I say, they are, many students, principally teenagers, come to me and say, teacher, this text is very boring. It doesn't treat, okay, it doesn't go on with things that I like to read, but this is going to happen, okay? So they may have texts that are about things that you do not enjoy reading, they are not interesting, but we have to read. Why do we have that? Because we have a variety of different candidates from all over the world. And these exams, they are the same all over the world. Okay, each year, I believe they have 2 test dates, and they send the same material, and it's really they have a procedure that is really crazy. I think it is even worse than what they do with the name exams, like taking care of the exams. Nobody can open. I am an examiner. I have been in test centers many times, and the material, they come inside an envelope, and we can only open that when the candidates are all sat there, and then the time starts. We open that envelope and we check each candidate. You have to have every candidate has to have their identity card there, or it can be a passport or any document with a photo, and it can't be a copy. It has to be an original, so that we can really confirm that the candidate is the one that has registered for taking the test. So it involves a really attentive apparatus. So you will read this variety of texts, you will answer questions based on them. They are multiple choice questions, and they have different parts. You see how many parts it's divided each. You're gonna also listen to a variety of talks, conversation for the listening comprehension exam. You will be able to develop your knowledge of phrasal verbs, idioms. I'm gonna introduce you to many, and of course there will be a speaking practice that we're gonna start next Saturday. My intention is to start it next Saturday with radio speaking, but I'm gonna do it in a different way. I will send you the material for speaking. I will send you the pictures for the speaking practice next week, so that you can do some research on vocabulary that can be used to relate to that speaking practice, okay? And this is what I call an inverted classroom. Of course, the exam is not like that. You're not gonna see the pictures beforehand, but as your intention is to develop your fluency, you have to have this dedication. Okay, so set aside some time over the weekend so that you can have a look at the pictures and find vocabulary that is more advanced related to that picture. Here are the websites. You don't need to copy them now, but these are the websites where there are many tests, samples, that you can do, and you can even have it corrected immediately. Okay, so my intention is to also guide you through that. If you wish, of course, you can have a look at them over the weekend. You can try doing some of them during the weekend, but my intention is on when we are going on with the course is to show you which ones exactly I'd like you to use, to do. What is B2 first paper-based test like? Let me talk about this, because when the candidates are tested, they can do the test in two different ways. They can go to a test center. Here in Rio, you know, we have Cultura Inglesa, the course where I worked, which was Red Balloon in Barra, also is a test center, but it's basically only for the students from Red Balloon. Britannia, that is now Cultura Inglesa, also was a test center. But the test center I am connected with is the test center from São Paulo, okay? I'm not connected to the test center in Rio. I'm connected to the one in São Paulo. And they have this the paper-based test where you go, you register, you go to the test center, you register there, you receive the material with the information that will show you the material. And on the test date is done on two different dates. The test, the FCE test is done in two different dates. On one, not necessarily, I said something wrong, but usually it is done on two different dates. Cultura Inglesa does like that. On one date, you have reading, use of English, which is one paper, listening and writing, and on the other date, you have speaking. Speaking is fast because it lasts about 15 to 20 minutes. So you go to the test center to do that. Red Balloon, it is done on the same date. So you stay there for a long time, like 5 hours, 6 hours, if it is all done on the same date. And you also have the computer-based test, which can also be done. I had one student who did the test that was computer-based. He registered over the internet. And but of course, there is a test center. You don't do it from home. It's computer-based, but you go to a test center to do the test on the computer. I'll show you what they look like. I have to go back. Yes, let's see the paper-based sample. Okay, here I downloaded. You can also download all of this. Let me first show you this one here, which is reading and use of English. This one, if I'm not wrong, my computer is a bit slow today. If I'm not wrong, this was the first exam after they changed, after they put reading and use of English together. So you will always have this information at the beginning, the first, the cover of the exam. So this is what the paper shows. You receive when the examiner asks you, when they say you can open, now you can open your test paper. So you can, first you have to read the instructions, right? And then the candidates will only be allowed to start the test after the examiner, the assessor allows that. So the reading and use of English lasts 1 hour and 15 minutes. And this time has to be strictly followed. You can't. So when the examiner, the assessor says time's up, close the exam paper, you have to do so. If you don't do this, if the candidate doesn't do this, the candidate's penalized and the exam can be nulled. What else? I won't show you now where, because you have the test, and you can write on the test paper, but you can't take the test paper home. You have to return everything. And there is one separate sheet of paper where you will mark your answers, where you will write your answers. So they say here, do not open this question paper until you were told to do so. This is the same on all the papers. Write your name, center number. You receive the center number on the day. Usually the center number is already written, okay? Candidate number you receive on the test day too, and then the answer sheet you will receive on the, if it is there. So it can be given together with the exam paper or not. It depends. Because at the end, when it's about 15 minutes before the end, you are allowed to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Read the instructions for each part of the paper carefully. Answer all the questions. Read the instructions of the answer sheet. I will send you the one model of an answer sheet. Write your answers on the answer sheet. Use a pencil. You have to use a pencil. When they ask you to use a pencil, it's a pencil you have to use. You can only use a pen for the writing paper, okay? All the other parts are done by pencil. You must complete the answer sheet within the time limit. So when time is over, when time's up, test is over, you have to stop. And at the end of the test, hand in both this question paper and your answer sheet, all right? Information for candidates. There are 52 questions in this paper, always. There will always be 52 questions for the reading and use of English. From questions 1 to 24, and the questions from 43 to 52, they are worth 1 mark, 1 point. 25 to 30, 2 marks. They are the sentence transformation sentences. And 31 to 42, also 2 marks. I believe they are also the sentence transformation. I'm not so sure now. You will see what the exams are always like this. You see, part 1 will always be this sort of question, where you have a text with gaps. There will always be an example on top, okay, with the way you have here. It is the example of the answer sheet. The answer sheet will have this format where you just have to cover all the rectangle area by pencil. And you read, and the options are here. Okay. So when you were doing it on paper, you just, of course, turn over the page so you can check. My recommendation, all teachers' recommendations are the ones that prepare for FCE. Recommendation is read the text first very fast, okay? Read it very fast. So that you have an idea of what you see, that the title already gives you an idea of what it contains or what it is. But read it all fast up to the end, so you have a very good information, so you have a very good knowledge of what it contains. And then you go on, okay, reading again and reading the options, and you can write here. Of course, you can on the test paper, you can circle. I recommend that you don't write here, because it's gonna be a waste of time. The examiners do not see this. They want this to have to be returned, but they don't see this. They will only see the answer sheets. So when you transfer your answers from the test paper to the answer sheet, be very careful not to make a mistake, because if you make a mistake on one, you may end up making mistakes on the other ones. Once you notice there is a mistake, unfortunately, there is no other substitution. You can't say, oh, please, I made a mistake here, can you give me another? No, because each candidate has one and only one. But you can try to erase it, but it's better not to, okay? Because nowadays everything is read by computer, and if you are teachers at municipio, you know that many of the exams, they were read by computers, and if the student marked one answer incorrectly, or if it was too light, the computer didn't read it, the scanner didn't read it well. So that was there is the first part. Part 2, this is one. There is part 2, part 3. My students usually say that this is the one of the hardest parts of the use of English reading. This is the reading test. Why? This is like a use of English because many times it has to do with vocab too. You see here, 0, it's because they have an option. They have this as a module. Here you have the example of the answer sheet. They ask you to always use capital letters in the answer sheet, please. So use capital letters. And each gap of this part here will be receiving only one word and one word only. Because many times you can see, oh, but it's possible to write these group of words here. It is, but they want you to use one. That is the one that they want to fit. Okay, so here the example they have, I work as a motorbike stunt rider. So you know that when we work, we have our profession, career, we work as, I work as a teacher, you work as teachers. And then you, once again, what I recommend is that you read all over to the end, then you begin reading again with attention. This part show what I always tell candidate students is that you have to read carefully to see if there is any reference to something before, something after. Pay attention to prepositions, pay attention to see if it is a verb, if it is a noun, etc., etc. Usually, they ask, for example, as is a word that they usually use in this part of the test, part 2. They usually use here in this part words like as. They usually use relative pronouns. They usually use prepositions also. They usually use pronouns, personal pronouns, conjunctions. You see, so we're gonna focus on these things. Part 3, this is what we call word transformation, okay, where you have a word, a root word usually is put here. Once again, where they have a sample here. What I usually ask, as I said before, read it all over from beginning to end, so you have an idea, so that you can identify that you need, if you need a noun, if you will need a verb, if you will need an adjective, an adverb, so that you can transform the word here appropriately. You see here, this word common here was transformed into an adverb, because when you read, if you read the beginning, garlic, a member of the lilac family, which also includes onions, is used in cooking. So you see here you have a verb, okay, in the passive form, and you have to use the word common in a way that can be connected to you. So what can I say? What I usually ask students, what would you ask here? How are onions? Here, the garlic, yes. How is garlic? Yeah, you see, what is the reference? So there is a back reference here. Is back referred to garlic. So you have to ask the question, how is garlic used in cooking? So when you ask the how question, it's because the answer will require an adverb. And what is the adverb to the word commonly? We're going to also see how words can be transformed into an adverbs. They are usually transformed by using the suffix ly, but there are some other words that have very specific adverbs. And you have to do the same in relation to the other. China is currently the largest of garlic. Is the largest what? So China produces garlic, but they don't want the verb produces here. And they want a word connected with product. So the one that produces garlic is the producer. So you transform product into producer. And you have to do the same up to the end. Here we have sentence transformation. Sentence transformation is also hard, but if we study it appropriately, we're gonna ace that very easily, okay, because it's the use of the language. They have the original sentence here. Example, very friendly taxi driver drove us into town. They want you, the candidate, to transform the sentence using the word driven and to make it have the same meaning as the original sentence. And they have here, do not change the word given. So you have to use the word driven. You can't change. You can't use drive. You can't use drove. You have to use driven. And they also say you must use between 2 and 5 words. So the minimum is 2 words. The maximum is 5 words. If you write 6, you're going to have a 0 on this alternative, on this question. Okay, on this option here. So how can it be done? See, a very friendly taxi driver drove us into town. We, a very friendly taxi driver. You can see here that they put we because us is in the beginning, taxi driver is at the end. So you think, oh my, this is a passive voice I have to use. And it is, because driven is a past participle of the verb drive used in passive voices. So we were driven into town by, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, which is the maximum. Same thing has to be done up to the end. Okay, word given, sentence, and then you transform. You see here, part 5. This is the one that makes my students really, teacher, do I have to read it all? Yes. But as I said before, first have a quick reading so you have an idea of what it is about. Then you read the option, okay, read the question, read the alternatives, go back to the paragraph because you will already have an idea of what it contains, okay, and it's going to be easier for you to find the answer. And read it carefully because many times the alternatives are very, very tricky because they may have been mentioned there in the text, but there will always be one piece of information there that will make you disqualify that alternative, okay? It's not that easy, so it's really involves a lot of attention. And I remember that when I did the CPE exam, that was tiring, my God. It was a long time ago, and I confess that when we read the text that we don't like, whose information it contains is boring, it's more difficult, but we have to get ready for that. And I remember that being one of the last parts, I was like, my God, I'm not gonna pass. But I ended up going on with that. Good preparation leads to success in ballet dancing. So you see how different it is here. We have 2 long texts. The first one has questions, multiple choice questions. This one also has multiple choice questions, but it's in a different way. You have from A to G, you have 4, 5, 6, 7 different paragraphs. And you have to include these paragraphs in the right part of the text. Yeah. So once again, read from beginning to end so you have a better idea of what the text contains. Then you go to each paragraph where you have the gap. Of course, read the options, the alternatives first before you go on to the part where you have the gap, and see what connection it has. It's a bit tricky too. You have to pay attention to what is before, to what is after the gap, to see back reference and forward reference so that you can choose. And there will always be, you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 gaps, but there will always be 7 options. So 1 will not be used. Okay. And there is a part 7. It's a long one, you see? Which paragraph here you see? We have 4 paragraphs only. And they ask questions about the people. Usually they are people. They talk about people here. Margaret Gurley goes to meet Duncan Williams, who plays for Chelsea Football Club. And they have A, B, C, or D. They refer to 4 different people, 4 different specific things. And you have to just write here which paragraph answers this question. each of the questions. So each paragraph states how surprised the writer was at Duncan's early difficulties. So you will just see A, B, C, or D. So you write here A, B, C, or D accordingly and go up to the end, all that. So this is the reading and use of English exam, 1 hour and 15 minutes. How are you gonna get prepared? The more you read, the more you do sample tests like these, the more you get accustomed to it, and the better result, the better answers you're gonna have. Listening, the sample. So here, it's a sample test 1, listening. It lasts approximately 40 minutes, including the 5 minutes transfer time. What is the transfer time? At the end, remember that I said, you see the information is quite the same. The only difference, it's the same here, 5 minutes at the end of the test to copy your answers onto the separate answer sheet, use a pencil, always a pencil. And here the same, you see you have the part 1, it's multiple choice. Part 2, you have to fill in the gaps. Let me read here. I will not read the information, you will receive that. You can go on, and you will also receive the audio for this. You can start practicing if you wish. Here, part 2, you hear a woman called Angela Thomas, who works for a wildlife organization, talking about the spectacled bear. For questions 9 to 18, complete the sentence with a word or short phrase. So they say a word or short phrase. It's because you don't have, how can I say, a very strict number of words to write, but usually the number of words you write here is between 1 up to 3. I have never seen more than 3 words written here in this part of the test for listening, okay? So no more than 3. And sometimes they give 2 or 3 possible answers in terms of, how can I say, putting in the article or not, so it depends. But the examiner, the people will correct this, will analyze each of the answers accordingly. You have to be very careful about the spelling of the words when you write here. Part 3, this one, yeah, let's see. You will hear 4 short extracts in which people are talking about their visit to a city. For questions 19 to 13, you see 19 to 23, sorry. And from the list, choose from the list A to H. You see there are 5 speakers, and there are 1 to 8, right? 8 options, and they will always, one of them, of course, will be connected here. If there are 5, you will have, there will some here that will not be used. So there are 3 extra letters which you do not need to use because they will not refer to what the speakers say in the extracts. One thing I forgot to say, but I'll tell you in a minute. And here you will hear part of a radio interview with a woman called Rachel Reed, who works in a commercial art gallery, a shop which sells work of art. For questions 24 to 30, choose the best answer, A, B, or C. Okay. So multiple choice again, and that's the end. What I can tell you, yes. Each part of the test is played twice and twice only. Okay, the examiner cannot be is not allowed to repeat it more than two times. Some students that I had, what happens? They usually listened to the first recording, and they marked the answers, but I have already answered, I will not listen again. I do recommend that you don't do this, that you listen to the recording once more, just to confirm that your answers were the right ones. And many times when you couldn't get it the first time you heard, you listened to The second time will give you a chance of listening to it again and doing it again. What else? Okay, I had something else to say, but I just forgot. If you have questions by the end, you can ask me. Yes. Okay. Listening. Now writing. I'm leaving speaking for the last one. Writing. What is writing all about? You receive this test paper. You have 1 hour, 20 minutes to write 2 tasks, to write 2 texts. The first one is always an essay. We're gonna work on essays also throughout the classes. And the second part, you see here, it's the same thing. The only change is the hour, okay, the time, because the same is always, the rest is always the same, except for here, you can see right clearly in pen. So for the writing paper, you have to use a pen. You may make alterations, but make sure your work is easy to read. It's what usually our students say. Not necessarily us English teachers, but the ones that write composições, no? Produção textual for the other teachers, they are said not to erase, not to change when they do the test. But here for Cambridge, you can cross out, yeah, you can write on the word you consider wrong. But when you make the alterations, you have to do it in a way that does not confuse the reader, the one that is analyzing, assessing your writing. Because if they can't read, of course, you're not going to receive a good mark. So write clearly. You can write using cursive letter, no problem. This is something that I forgot to say. In the other parts, reading and use of English, for example, and also listening when you have to write the words, they ask you to use capital letters, always. But here for writing, you do not need to use capital letters. Of course, it's more difficult for me. It's horrible to use capital letters to write. I use cursive letter, but my cursive letter has to be really, our cursive letter has to be really readable. Okay, the time limit, you have to write the 2 texts in 1 hour and 20 minutes. The first one, you see each question in this paper carries equal mark. Question, they refer to each text you write, part 1 and part 2. Part 1, as I said, is always an essay. Let's read this. In your English class, you have been talking about the environment. Now your English teacher has asked you to write an essay. Write an essay using all the notes and give reasons for your point of view. So they have this information here. You have to mention this information here. You can't forget to use the information given here. You can't add more than they ask. You see here that they give you the opportunity of introducing or giving your own idea. Many times they do that for writing essays, but they want you to mention transport, they want you to mention rivers and seas, and if you don't mention one of them, you're going to be penalized, and hardly penalized. So the question is, every country in the world has problems with pollution and damage to the environment. Do you think these problems can be solved? We're going to see how to write essays successfully in one of our next lessons. Part 2, they give you an option. They give the candidate an option of 4, here 3, sorry, because number 1 is the essay. Of 3, sometimes 4. Write an answer to one of the questions from 2 to 4. So you have to choose one, and on the answer paper where you write, you're gonna just put the number of the option that you've chosen. And usually they are these ones: a review, an article, or an email. In this case, this is a friendly email. Sometimes they may ask you to write formal emails. They may ask you to write a proposal. We never know beforehand. That's why candidates have to be prepared to all types of writing in English: reviews, articles, emails, informal emails, formal emails, proposals, and information entry, if I'm not, if I haven't forgotten. The review here in the past, I believe they do that for CPE only. They ask the candidates for CPE to read a book so that they write a review about that book that they have been recommended to read. But for FCE, they don't. So here you see this announcement in your college English language magazine. You have to read it all here, and then you write your review. Have you read a book in which the main character behaved in a surprising way? And some students ask me, teacher, they ask when I give them mock tests or sample tests. They're asking us to write a review on a book. Can't I write a review on a film? No. If they ask you to write a review on a book, it has to be a book. But I haven't read any book recently. Okay, so write about a book you have read a long time ago. But I don't remember. Okay, you can think of any book because they are not, one worry a candidate has is about the information given. If they write about a book that they have read, and if the examiner, if the assessor has read the same book, and if the information given in the review is not really accurate, candidates are afraid they're going to be penalized on the information. No, they're not going to be penalized on the information. Candidates are only penalized on the writing structure, the vocabulary used, the grammar used, not on the information. They don't want the information accuracy. Yeah, they want a review well written, even if it's not exactly, it doesn't contain the exact information that the book provides. It can also be something like this one. You have this announcement. Okay, the most useful thing you have ever learned. What is the most useful thing you have learned? Who did you learn it from? Why is it useful? Write us an article answering these questions. We will publish the best articles on our website. Of course, this is just, they are not going to publish the candidates' articles. This is just an example of one ad that has been on that was published on a website. And we see this all over the internet many times, asking people to write articles, and there will many times be a prize, and the article is published, etc., etc. So they ask the candidates to practice the article writing. I'll show you how with examples too. And this is the easiest one. When, tell you the truth, when the informal email writing is in the exam, students tend to write it, yeah, because it's easier, because we have the formality of the language. But one thing that is interesting is that if you decide to write an informal email, it's not gonna be appropriate if you use a very formal vocabulary, because the examiner, the assessor will say, come on, this is not appropriate for an informal email to a friend. We never do that. So you have to think of the way, if it is okay to write that word in that kind of vocabulary of writing task. What you have to worry about is also, I usually ask the students not to write those internet, now very famous abbreviations like LOL and these things. I usually ask them not to use that on informal emails to friends when they are doing the exam. But they say, but I do that, teacher. I say, but it's better not to do it. Write an informal email, but imagining that you want the reader, in this case the assessor, to really understand, because many times the abbreviations change from area to area, so we have to use the standard language. And speaking, let me show you speaking part. You see here you have answer keys. I will send you all of these. I will put this there so you can just try it for the first time Okay, you set aside some time during your week so you can try it, and you can even check your answers. And if there is anything that you got that was not understood by you, you can send me a message over Teams privately. I prefer you to send that over Teams, right? In the chat area or in the notebook. Each one I will show you where or and how to access that, to access that. And then I will answer you there. Nobody else will see it, just me speaking. This is the one I want to show you. This here is the examiner's paper. You are not going to see this, yes? When you are doing the test, you won't see this. The examiner has that. And the examiner, you will see it is like, many times it will seem to the candidate that the examiner is a robot. But they have to act like that because all the examiners all over the world have to say exactly the same thing to the candidates. They say that because the examiner cannot provide any kind of thing, information, a way of speaking that will favor one candidate, and while the other examiner in another part of the world will will say the same thing, but if he says it in a different way, it may favor that candidate. And that's why we have to read exactly the way it is written on our exam booklet. So we always, if it is morning, we're gonna say, good morning, my name is Daisy Alves Barbosa. We have to say our complete name. We usually say Daisy Barbosa. I usually say that. Good morning, my name is Daisy Barbosa, and this is my colleague Ana Ferreira, okay? Because there will always be, during the exam, the speaking exam, there will always be the person, the teacher asking the questions straight to the candidates, because this part of the test is done in pairs, sometimes in trios, okay, but usually in pairs. It depends on the number of candidates, and you can't choose the other part, your partner. It has to be the ones that they call. And they say, my name is Daisy Barbosa, and this is my colleague, Ana Ferreira, and your names are, and we even have to do this movement, and your names are, and then each of the candidates say their names, and we say, can I have your mark sheets, please, because you get into the room, the test room, with mark sheets where the examiner, the assessor, is going to write his impressions. Thank you. And then these mark sheets are given to the assessor. Why is there another assessor? It's because we were asking the questions cannot write anything. We cannot have the interference. When we are asking the questions, we will have a global idea of the candidate's performance. Whereas the other, our colleague, the other assessor, will be writing comments. And what I recommend is that don't keep looking at the assessor that is there in the other part of the room, because many times they're writing some good things, not all bad things. So, and usually candidates are really fearful of what the other person is writing because they think they are only writing the mistakes. No, they many times write the excellent performances the candidates have. And when the candidates leave the room, we get together, and then the person, the examiner that is asking the questions, will give a global mark, and the other one will be more specific. And many times we change positions like this. Okay, I can be asking the questions to one pair, while the other one will be writing the comments, and the next pair will see a different format. We change. Okay, we have to be exchanging positions. And the first questions will always be like that. Where are you from? And then let's say that I have Ana and Maria. No, let me change the name Ana. Let's say that we have Maria and João. Okay, the two candidates. And then I will say, let's say that Maria is candidate A and João is candidate B. And then I say, where are you from, Maria? And she's answering. And to you, João. Okay, then First, we'd like to know something about you. This is the information. See, we don't read this to the candidates. We have to select one of the following categories to ask questions to the candidates. Okay, candidates don't see these questions, so they have to be really attentive. Okay. Yeah. And then I will just direct the questions to one student. Some people, some candidates, some students say, but if I don't understand what is, there's no problem, because it shows a property. Even when we speak Portuguese, we ask our friends or other people that speak Portuguese to repeat. And this is not a mistake. Many times we really didn't hear because the person didn't know or didn't say it very clearly to us. Whenever you want the examiner to repeat, of course it can't be excessive, but if you don't understand one question, just say, oh, please, could you repeat that? I couldn't understand. Of course, it shows that if you were doing FCE, intermediate, up to intermediate, you had to ask the examiner to repeat the questions. Do not just say, repeat, please, because this is very basic. So let's say, could you please repeat it? I couldn't understand. So you have to use a longer way of asking politely the person to repeat, showing that you have a good command of the language. Part two, it is, they have pictures. Each candidate receives one photograph. You see, in this part of the test, the interlocutor, the examiner, will always say it this way. In this part of the test, I'm going to give each of you 2 photographs. I'd like you to talk about your photographs on your own for about a minute, and also to answer a question about your partner's photographs. Maria, it's your turn first. Here are your photographs. Okay, it's one card with 3 photos. Okay, I'll show you in a minute. And I give it to the first candidate, in this case, Maria. So, Maria, it's your turn first. Here are your photographs. They show people who are helping other people in different situations. So it's the booklet. It is like a book with, I just put on the page where the photographs are. And then I read. After I put it in front of the candidate, I read. I say, yeah, I have to read what is on my exam paper. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say how important it is to help people in these situations. All right? And then the candidate usually nods, okay? Then it lasts about a minute, okay? The candidate has 1 minute to answer, to talk, to compare the 2 photographs. In this case, they are 2, yeah, because there is a difference between C1 and B2. In B2, they give you the 2 photographs. To compare the photographs, if you stop before 1 minute, the interlocutor will wait until the minute. So you have to prepare until the minute is over. The minute is up, sorry. Time is up, class is over. I usually change. So it is always good that you enrich that. It's not only describing the picture, but say why you think they are helping the other. In this case, when you see the picture, then okay, when the time is up, the examiner, the interlocutor has a clock, a little clock there, so he can control time. When the interlocutor says thank you, you have to stop talking, even if you didn't conclude your talk, and then you hand it back to the interlocutor, and then he or she, the interlocutor, addresses the second. João, do you find it easy to ask for help when you have a problem? Why or why not? So this second candidate has to be paying attention to what the first candidate said, because he will also be asked a question about those pictures, but only one question. And this second candidate will have 30 seconds to answer the question asked within this time allotted. And then after he finishes, the interlocutor will say, I said it in wrong way. The booklet will be only asked after the second candidate speaks. And then he will say, thank you, can I have the booklet, please? Okay, he or she, the interlocutor, will always say that. And then he or she retrieves part 2. Now, João, here are your photographs. They show people spending time in different gardens. So we hand it in. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say what you think the people are enjoying about spending time in these gardens. I'm reading very fast, but we have to read it in an appropriate pace, yeah, so that the candidate really understands. All right, so it's not so slow, but it's not that fast. Okay, it's a normal speed. Thank you. The same thing happens. Candidate A will be answering questions, and here are the pictures. You see the pictures given to the first candidate. In this case, that was for Maria. The question will be on top, always. The pictures to the second candidate are here. As you see, the questions will always be on top. And then we have part 3. Part 1, part 2, they are individual. They have individual participations. Part 3 has the interaction part of the exam. So the interlocutor will say, we will address both candidates. Now I'd like you to talk about something together for about 2 minutes. If it is a group of 3 candidates, 3 minutes. I'd like you to imagine their town wants more tourists to visit. Here are some ideas they are thinking about and a question for you to discuss. First, you have some time to look at the text. So the interlocutor hands in the pictures, the picture, and the candidates will look at it in silence for some seconds. In this case, about 15 seconds. Allow 15 seconds, and then after the 15 seconds have passed, the interlocutor will say, now talk to each other about why these ideas would attract more tourists to the town. And the candidates have 2 minutes to interact. Okay, 3 minutes if it is a group of 3. When the time is up, the interlocutor will say, thank you. Now you have about a minute to decide which idea would be best for the town. And the candidates will have 1 minute more to decide on that. So 1 minute for both pairs and trios. Then after that minute passes by, the interlocutor says, thank you, can I have the booklet, please? Let me show you the image. This is the image, you see? So the candidates have to discuss all these things in relation to the question. They have to be all discussed by both candidates. You can't only choose the ones that you want to discuss. This is in the first part, saying good things or bad things, and then when the examiner, the interlocutor asks which one you think is the best, then you have 1 minute more to decide on which one is the best. You do not need to always agree. Of course, one candidate may think of one being the best, the other candidate may think of the other one being the best, and then you just say, oh, we can come to an agreement on the same thing. Okay, so you can say this, and it's all right. And part 4 is the following questions in order as appropriate. These questions will be asked to the candidates. And at the end, when all the questions have been asked, when the examiner, the interlocutor feels the candidates are having some hard time answering, we may ask these prompt questions. What do you think? Do you agree? Or in part 3, as we have interaction part, it's always important that when you feel your partner is not speaking that much, you have to bring him, because this is considered, okay, one candidate asks questions to the other candidate to participate more. It's gonna be really good, okay, because they analyze you not only your command of the language. They also analyze your ability to interact with other people in a conversation that is real. Okay, asking using appropriate language in English, of course. So, and many times they notice when one candidate does not allow the other candidate to speak. So this one that does not allow, that wants to show off, will also be penalized. So you have to measure this. Some students come to me and say, but teacher, the other one doesn't want, I tried, but he or she doesn't speak. But the examiner saw that you tried. So you are not going to be penalized. He will or she will, if he didn't participate that much, if he was monosyllabic, all right? So the examiner, the assessor will always see your attempt to make the other party, the partner, appear to speak. And that's the end. All right, okay. As I said before, I will send it all here, so you can do the sample papers on your own. Even the audio I will send. And I will also send the speaking pictures, okay? So you can prepare it before our next lesson when you are going to have the interaction. And my intention is to separate you into breakout rooms that now Teams has. So you can do it in a test way. Okay. Wow, it's 16 past 9 already. And we have many other things to cover. What is B2 first computer base like? I will just show you the beginning because it's a bit long. I believe that you're gonna hear the audio. So if you do the test on the computer, it's gonna look like this. All the instructions will be written very differently. It will be, let me show you the video.
Welcome to the tutorial for the first
Can you
certificate
hear?
in English. This tutorial will show you how to complete the reading and
if it
use
is
of
okay,
English,
all right, okay. But if you can't hear, just tell me, because it's very low
tests.
for me here.
The instructions for each part of the test
You see,
are
it's
in
the
the
same
box
test.
at the top of the screen.
Same test, just on the computer.
For some questions, you will need to click on the gap,
okay,
and then choose the answer you think is correct. Your chosen answer will then appear in the gap. If you want to change your answer, click the gap again, and the options will appear again. Click on the answer you think is right. If you want to leave the question unanswered, click on the cross.
you see?
When you have answered a question, a line will appear
let me
under
just
that
interrupt
question.
a little. This is a tutorial, okay? If you do the computer-based test, you're not going to have this tutorial, so you must know beforehand what it is all like. Let me just advance a bit, because you will be able to see this. I will send it to you too. I'll send you this PowerPoint.
Some questions, type your answer in the gap in the text on the screen. For some questions, you need to choose an answer. If you want to change your answer, click on your new answer. You see that the time is always, well, here, you will always be following how much time you have to finish. Let me go on. Here's the writing. And part 2. You can answer the parts in any order. You type your answer in the space on the right of the screen. And what is really interesting about this one is that you don't need to count the words, because they always ask you to write a number of words. There is a choice of questions. But here, the computer-based test will always give you this information, which doesn't happen when you have a paper-based test. You will have to really be observant when you do it on paper. You have to always be counting there. I'll tell you how you can do it well.
choose the one that you have
decided which question to answer, click the box next to choose this question.
Okay, let me follow.
Question unanswered. Click on the answer again. You will have 2 minutes at the end of the listening test to check all your answers.
A little bit more.
Help will also give you information about the test.
Okay. Instructions. So you can see this as I'm gonna give you the don't worry, because
if you wish,
you can
also choose to highlight section text or questions.
At an appropriate moment, okay, on a different day,
left-click and drag your cursor
and
over the section of text or question you wish to highlight. Welcome to the
okay, just go back here. Yeah, it's the same thing. Well, what is B2 computer-based test like? Here we have samples of the writing, of the computer-based test. Let me just click on one. When you do it on your own, you will be taken to the same website. Let me just do a presentation here to see if it opened. Yeah, it's opening. So this is an online sample of the FCE reading and use of English. As the internet's a bit slow here, you see? And when you do this on the computer, you're going to have your name written here, your date of birth, and your candidate number. You just have to confirm if they are all correct. And this is something also, if there is anything wrong on the information about your name, date of birth, candidate number on the test day, you have to call the examiner and say it's wrong. There is something wrong here. My name is not written this way, but my date of birth. So what will they do? You will be, your test will be interrupted and you will not be able to do it? No, you will continue doing the test, but the examiner, the assessor, will write this information on a report paper saying, giving this information to Cambridge so that they can change it and that you receive the certificate with your name correctly written, your date of birth correctly written, candidate number, everything correct. So if everything is correct here, you just write my details are correct, and then the other page opens. You see here, do not click start test until you're told to do so. There will be one person there telling you, okay, now you can begin. You read it all, then now you can begin, then you start the test. You just click start test, and you have here a mock test. That's a real mock test. I'm not gonna do it because this is something I would like you to try to do on your own at home over the weekend. Okay, let me close. And you have the same for listening sample and for writing sample. You have the same thing. Reading and use of English, listening, I have, you're gonna get the key, okay, the answer key. But for writing, it's impossible. But what they see here, answer key, the answer key is here. You just click here to see the answer keys. Oh, and when you do the computer-based test, you will be answering them, but take note of your answers on a separate paper, so that when you check your answers on the answer key, you compare with the answers you put on paper, because you won't be able to go back to the beginning of the test to see everything again. So there is no answer key for the writing paper, but there are sample answers and examiner comments on the relevant pages of the B2 first handbook. This handbook I also put there for you. This one, although it's written here, handbook for teachers, of course, the real candidate doesn't get it, but I decided to show it for you so that you know how the teachers, how the examiners evaluate you. So this is one example, one certificate sample. Okay, you have many pieces pieces of information here, the test, the length, the number of parts, the number of tasks the part has, number of questions, everything is here. What can candidates do at level 2, at level B2, what is expected of each candidate. It's important, it's good that you know this. Let's see here. It is, as a teacher, it's interesting that, as teachers, it's interesting that you know what and how you are being evaluated. Okay, so everything is here, right? So, of course, you don't need to read it all during the week, or over the week, because there are many pieces of information here. And here you just have on the teacher's booklet, the teacher has a sample of a test. So you're gonna get this here too. Free English practice. Free online activities for reading, writing, listening, grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. I believe this one, I have to go back here. Yeah, it's from Cambridge too, and it contains lots of activities. It's very interesting. You see, as this one is for B2, it has already been put as independent, because a B2 candidate is independent, like they can communicate well. Have you got more than one? No. This is only for people who have already got the test. They can set the test and they register. So here you have the skills. You can just choose one of the skills, the time you want. I have 5 minutes, so I want grammar questions that last no more than 5 minutes, and then you will be directed to other pages you see here, B1, B2, where you have exercises. They're very specific here. Add some prepositions, work on preposition, exclamative clauses, learn about how to use see in spoken English. So 19 good activities. If you want to try listen, you just click on listen, grammar. I want a very quick activity on listening, so they give you the activities on listening. This is all for self-study. Self-study is really good, okay, because it makes the candidate move forward faster. Oh, and I forgot to say that, let me go back there, because we are all teachers at Municipio, and there here in this on this website there is an area where we can get exercises for our students. Basic, just click basic here, and let's say that you want vocabulary, a short one, because we know that students have a very little, the little ones have a very short time span, attention span. And then we have here vocabulary for the house and home, vocabulary for work and jobs, linking ideas and sentences, which part of the body. You see, there are many activities where, which you can use with your students. You just select here basic. Of course, we know how hard it is to use websites in our schools because of connectivity. Yeah, but you can have the ideas there. I'm not sure if they are downloadable activities. I will check, I didn't check. But if they are not, you can use the ideas. And here you have the guideline for candidates. When a person registers for this exam, they receive this information for candidates. Everything here that the candidates should know. They have information about the papers. They have a sample paper, computer-based. You see, all of this. Watch a video of a speaking test. I'm going to show you one in a minute. So the candidates have a more concise booklet giving them information. Okay. How much do you know about studying for Cambridge English first? Then you have answers on the following page, answers here. Okay, so all good pieces of information to the candidates, right? It's also there for you to get later on. And here, let's see one speaking from camera. Let me just put this sound here on because I couldn't listen to it when I played it. Oh no. It's here. It was very low for me. So this is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, okay? And then I'll show you the comments of the examiner, the one that was sitting behind, okay? You see the sample comments on this speaking test. There was a real speaking test. They are real candidates. I think it's the next page is bad. Yes, here. What happened?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
My name is Jenny Cook, and this is my colleague, Jill Budgie.
Hello.
Your names are?
My name is Victoria Bessie.
My name is Edward Naranjo.
Can I have your mark sheets, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Where are you from, Victoria?
I'm from Germany. I'm from the north coast of Germany, and very nice there because I have lived close to the sea.
And Edward, where are you from?
I'm from Peru. I live in the capital, Lima. It's near the coast.
First, we'd like to know something about you. Victoria, how do you like to spend your evenings?
In Germany, I like to go to malls, and now I go to the gym or do something else or spend time with my friends.
Edward, tell us about a festival or celebration in Peru.
Well, in Peru there is a lot of festival. There is called Mistura. It's a food. Because in Peru we have a lot of very different kinds of foods. So all that is better chef and plates go under Festival Lima. Like a...
At home, not really, but now I'm in England, so I used to Skype very often and to go, and look films at the internet or listen to music more because I have more free time now. Yeah.
Edward, tell us about a film you really like.
A film? Well, I really like cars and action, so maybe Fast and Furious. This was quite interesting for me, the last one, the 6. I find it really good because they're quite expensive cars. I think I like.
Thank you. In this part of the test, I'm going to give each of you 2 photographs. I'd like you to talk about your photographs on your own for about a minute, and also answer a short question about your partner's photographs. Victoria, it's your turn first. Here are your photographs. They show people helping people in different situations. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say how important it is to help people in these situations.
Okay.
All right?
The first picture, I was a sportsman, a footballer. Somebody think he had cramp or something.
I'm sorry I have to interrupt just for a second. I'd like to check to ask if there is anybody there who has the microphone on. Just to turn off the microphone so we don't hear this noise, okay? Would you please turn off your microphone? If you can't, I can do it for you.
Yeah.
Just a moment. Oops. I think it's here. I have to go. Candidates. Okay, everybody has it off now. Mine is the only one that is on. Let me turn off mine either. I can't. Okay, it's here.
Free time now, yeah.
Edward, tell us about a film you really like.
A film? Well, I really like cars and action, so maybe Fast and Furious. This was quite interesting for me, the last one, the 6. I find it really good because there is quite expensive cars, the things I like.
Thank you. In this part of the test, I'm going to give each of you 2 photographs. I'd like you to talk about your photographs on your own for about a minute, and also to answer a short question about your partner's photographs. Victoria, it's your turn first.
Okay.
Here are your photographs. They show people who are helping other people in different situations. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say how important it is to help people in these situations.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. In the first picture, I see a sportsman, a footballer, and somebody, I think he has a cramp or something like this, and somebody helps him. In the second picture, there's a policeman. The lady, I think she asks for the direction because she's confusing in the city. She's new or a tourist. I think both are very important persons because one has, in the first picture, he has pain, and the second picture, she needs help as well. So I think that are both very important persons for the people in each situation. I think I would prefer to help people who make some sports because I like sports and it's really interesting to see other people and I...
Thank you. Edward, do you find it easy to ask for help when you have a problem?
Yes, I have an experience in London. I was looking for a hostel and I asked an ambulance for some special places or a cheaper hostel, and they helped me.
Thank you. Can I have the booklet, please?
Yes.
Now, Edward, here are your photographs. They show people spending time in different gardens. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say what you think the people are enjoying about spending time in these gardens.
Okay.
All right?
Yes. Well, in the first picture, I see a girl, a blonde girl, in a garden with, I think, special plants. They have a special care about them. In the second, I see a big garden where people can go have a picnic, spend some time with the family, a time to relax. I think in both cases, they all enjoy the things. In the first one, I think that girl liked to make these plants in maybe his garden, or maybe she's going to eat them. In the second one, they like to spend time in the free air, or maybe free zones. It's good. Both are enjoying each.
Thank you. Victoria, which garden would you prefer to spend time in?
I think I would prefer to enjoy in my own garden, so as in the first picture, because it is really enjoyable to see the plants grow up and which color they have, and so I think it is nice when you sit on the terrace and have a look in your own garden. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I have the booklet, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, I'd like you to talk about something together for about 2 minutes. I'd like you to imagine that a town wants more tourists to visit. Okay. Here are some ideas they're thinking about. and a question for you to discuss. First, you have some time to look at the task.
Okay.
Now, talk to each other about why these ideas would attract more tourists to the town.
Okay. Maybe we can choose one.
Yeah, okay. Wouldn't we like to talk about building nightclubs? What do you think about it?
Maybe nightclubs, I think, are focused for young people. I think that young people like to visit towns for a nightclub. What about having more shops? I think that shopping is a special thing.
Shops is, I think, as well a good idea because they can go with the whole family, or sometimes parents can go on their own and the children's are for their own. But I think it would be nice when it is a shopping area and not shops on the street, because when the children want to go alone, maybe it is a little bit dangerous.
So maybe we can agree providing more parks.
Parks.
Yes.
I don't really like parks, so because I don't want to have a picnic in the park, but maybe it is nice. What do you think about it?
Well, sorry, I can't agree with you. I like parks because most people like to spend time with their family doing a picnic on free air if it's a good weather. So maybe more tourists can go to the parks.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe we can. What do you think about building holiday flats?
I think it is a good idea, but I'm not really sure if everybody wants to live in a holiday flat. But I think it can be very interesting when it's nice. Yeah, and it's a nice flat. What's your opinion?
I think that is not good for tourists or for. It's not an interest of them. Putting up security cameras also, I think they're more for people who live there.
Yeah, I think when I went to holiday and I know there are still cameras around me.
Thank you. Now you have about a minute to decide which idea would be best for the town.
Okay.
Okay.
I think the shopping areas is really nice because the whole family has something of it.
I also think providing parks, so
okay,
we have to discuss
which is the best one. Okay.
Yes. I like parks because also help for the weather.
Okay.
It's good for the environment. It's when you go to a new place, you also visit the parks, that kind of things.
Okay. Maybe I would change my opinion when I see a nice park. It's possible,
so
yeah.
we can
Maybe
invite new parks.
I have to try it, yeah.
Yes, it will be the best option.
Okay. I think so.
But not about discussing the nightclub or putting security cameras, because they are more for determined kinds of people. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can I have the booklet, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Victoria, do you think you have to spend a lot of money to have a good holiday?
Not really. I think when you're well organized and you look early enough for something, it might be possible to make it less expensive to go on a good holiday. Mm-hmm. So it depends what I want to do, but I try to.
What do you think, Edward?
Well, I think that it's not good to have a lot of money and spend on holidays. I think the most important is the person who you enjoy it or who you go with a holiday, so you can enjoy more that place.
Edward, some people say we travel too much these days and shouldn't go on so many holidays. What do you think?
Well, yes, it can be. If you have enough money to travel, well, it's great to go to new places and visit new cities and learn more about the culture also. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Victoria?
I think it's nice to travel a lot because you can see more of the whole world and from the culture and how the people live. So I think it's nice.
Do you think people have enough time for holidays these days?
Well, it depends on the person, because a businessman is always busy.
Yeah.
He tried a lot, but not for that kind of issues. He have to make business with other people.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think sometimes it's difficult to travel because you haven't got enough time, because you have to work hard to earn money, so it is difficult.
Why do you think people like to go away on holiday?
I think it's nice because you can, when you're far away from your home, you have not any things about your work and of your firm. So you are far away and you don't care what's in your home.
Yes, I agree with you. I have the same idea. I think that when you go out of your home, you can relax because you do new things. Maybe you can try other things. So it's interesting.
What can people do to have a good holiday in Germany?
I don't know exactly, because I don't want to make holidays in Germany, because the weather is all the time cloudy and bad. But I like it. It is nearly as in England, I think. So, and we have the sea, and so they can go surfing and can visit small islands, and it's nice. I think so.
And in Peru?
Well, in Peru there are a lot of places you can visit. There is Machu Picchu, very famous place of Nazca lines. Also Peru have a lot of beaches, pretty beaches. You can choose if you want like the jungle or the coast. There is a lot of places where you can, yes.
Thank you. That is
you.
the end of the test.
Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? I think so, right? So here you have the examiner's comments, right? You can have a look at them later on your own. Okay, just let me show everything. What is important to be analyzed by the assessor, the examiners. And here you have the comments that were written by that person's colleague. And she wrote comments on Victoria's performance and on Edward's performance related to part 1. Have a look at everything. Part 2. So I'd like you to have a look at them on your own so you see how they were assessed. This information is not given to the candidates. Only the assessors, only the examiners have access to it. Okay, but it's important that you know how they performed and you compare to your own performance. Okay, they say if it was good, if it was bad, pronunciation. Here, her pronunciation is clear and intelligible. You could, you see, she was from German, he was from Peru, and we could clearly notice their accents. But when accents do not interfere with communication, accent does not penalize, right? Many people say that other people don't speak good English because their accent is clearly noticed. But if it does not interfere with communication, if the language is used, is good, if the grammar used is accurate, and if pronunciation is clear enough and intelligible, that person can get a very high mark on Cambridge exams, even if they have a very clear accent. So here you have the information about their global performance overall. Okay. And although I believe you noticed they made some mistakes, but they got the FCE certificate. Okay, just finishing now. Here you have, I'm not going to open these, but you have the frequently asked questions on B2 first. And they also give the tips on for the exam. This one, the tips for the paper-based exams, the tips for the computer-based exam. And here they also give you a place there. It's a link here to, this one is for children, although it doesn't relate to you, but it's good for us as teachers of children that we have a look at these free English games. And there is a Facebook page where people who are studying for the FCE and for Cambridge exams, they interact with each other. They are not teachers. There are teachers, but they do not interfere. They just candidates usually ask questions to one another, and they help one another. And that's all. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much for being here. Let me stop the sharing of the page. Okay, just get a print screen. And all right, this is all. I'm not going to ask you today to have any comment or to ask anything now, because in 10 minutes, 9 minutes now, I'm going to start with the CAE people. But as I said before, if you want to ask me any question, write to me, no problem. Write to me in the chat area. Okay, I said that I would show you something here. Let me see, the notebook part. Let me show you. Let me see if I can. I forgot. I hope it takes not so much time. It's sometimes hard for me to show it here. Oh, can you do it? I think I'm going to owe you that because Teams, something that is changing a lot. Teams changes things frequently, and now I do not know. Let me see. Let me stop the transmission of my camera. No. This is the breakout room. Gallery. No, I can't show you. I have to find a way. I really don't know how to, because I wanted to show you the notebook area, but as I am having difficulty showing you the areas of Teams, I'm going to record a short tutorial and post on Teams, so you can see where you can find the notebook area. I don't know why I can't. I always did that, but today I'm finding it difficult. Okay, the connection is not okay. Today it's slow. Let me stop sharing. And that's all. Okay, I know that we've had very few people here today, although there are many that maybe they couldn't wake up. So you were really brave. You're really heroes to have woken up so early on a Saturday morning. I really hope to see you back next Saturday. And once again, I tell you guys, okay, if you have questions, don't worry about asking me. Okay, comments. If I am able to answer, I will. Okay, as I said before, I do not know everything. This is something I like doing. I like sharing the information, and I think that we teachers at Municipio, we have to do everything we can to improve, to get more knowledge about our language, to get more experts, so that we are more valued. We know that we are not so valued. We want to have this recognition. And I think that one of the ways of having more recognition is to improve our knowledge of the language. That's why I'm not really, I do not really feel bad for doing this freely for you, okay? It is something that I think it's good for all of us. I'm giving you something that will bring back something better for all teachers at Municipio, I believe, okay? So meet you next Wednesday, and don't forget, talk with me, okay? If I can't answer immediately, I will answer when I can, okay? Bye-bye, have a nice end of Saturday, nice weekend, see you around. I will interrupt it here, stop recording.